Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Behind the Reel podcast. This is episode number 39. I've got a couple co-hosts here with me, Jacob Ward and Josey Stone. Welcome, boys. Welcome to the show. We've both been on here before. We have been on here before to talk about this same topic as we are tonight, which is the Kansas Kayak Anglers. That is a combination of 4 local groups here in the state of Kansas. Northeast Kansas Kayak Anglers, Air Capital Kayak Anglers, Flint Hill Kayak Anglers, and the newest kid on the block, the Southeast Kansas Kayak Anglers. We've got some of the founding members here. We're just missing Steve, who is the 4th part of this board or panel or whatever you call the 4 of us. I just want to welcome you guys all that maybe have never been to one of these events or seen the podcast. This is a good place to go to get information about fishing here locally and especially kayak fishing. So stay tuned to the channels, hit that subscribe button. Appreciate having you guys. For all of you guys that are interested in learning a little bit more about the club, maybe you have some specific questions to ask. This is going to be kind of an open format tonight for you to ask away over in the live comment feed over there. I think it's on the right side of the screen, at least it is for me. But we're going to go ahead and we'll just get right into it. Jacob, Josey, welcome. Appreciate you guys coming on tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the Kansas Kayak Anglers, as I mentioned, is a combined group of all 4. So let's see here.
Who's Facebook user?
Facebook user, yeah. So if you guys are watching on Facebook, I did set this to go live on the Air Capital page, just in case some of those guys weren't aware of this. So Facebook user, I think there's like one more step for you to log in and you can reveal your identity if you want, or if not, you can just keep things interesting and source of most frustration. Your favorite redhead.
Oh, I know who it is.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Who it is.
He said, I don't know, this might be fun. All right, guys. So put your questions over there. We're going to start going over some stuff. A lot of this stuff we have gone over before. One of the first things that I would like to mention is approved measuring devices. Josey, before we went live, did want to make sure that we mentioned that the golden rule is not allowed. Even more recently, though, we're not allowing the hog troughs either. And I think, the reason that we've done that, there's been some controversy around it, but also just kind of keep things as a standard. So when you go up and fish some of these more national events, I think that's become a standard across what the Hobie BOS has. Bass Nation, I think, adopted that as well.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere has went to
KBF. Maybe.
I don't know many groups that have not.
Yeah. So it's really just kind of meant to keep things standard across the board. Now, something new, Jacob, I think you might want to chime in on this, and this is going to kind of tie into our measuring devices, but hand placement. I think you might have a visual that you would like to share with the group.
Yeah, see if I can get it focused in here. So we are going to go to like a no-touch zone. So essentially right here at the back of the front lip and straight up is kind of a no-touch zone. So basically if your fingers are in there of any point, it's going to be a DQ. This blue area here is the gill flap. So if your hand is underneath that, that's going to be a DQ, right, guys? As well.
Yeah.
It just hurts the fish. There's really no reason to have your hand in there anyways. It can be placed on top of it, just not underneath it. And then the opposite side here, the back of this fin here, basically, and straight up and then back. all the way in. As long as your hand is not in that zone, you're good. If it's in that zone, it's a DQ. What this does, it helps us find unique identifiers in the fish to tell if it's the same fish. There's been people, nationally that have tampered with this. So it just kind of gets rid of that chance. There's also less chance of people having mistakes whenever you can basically have your hand from here to here. Just makes everything much simpler. It's new. It's going to be different, but overall, I think it's going to be better for judges and people. You can either have your hand here or simply just not on the fish at all.
So, none of Jacob's red parts.
Yep.
Okay. Trevor is calling that the no-no square, and I think if I had a gavel, I'd bang it, and that's what we would call it from now on.
And as far as all catch boards, yes, all catch boards are allowed.
Yeah, so Jacob was mentioning earlier, I know some of the hesitation to, go over to the catch boards has been the price, and I think you're talking like $70, $80 for one of those aluminum boards. But there is now the catch carbonate, I think is how you pronounce it. $30 is what you're looking at there. And then, Josey did mention earlier, there is a possibility of us doing a bulk order. If there's enough people interested, let us know, make a post on the group page, message us individually, whatever. But if there's enough people that are interested in doing that, then we would definitely look into doing that.
And David, your question about
a jacket or forearm
block. Yeah, it's your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, basically your hand, if it's on the fish in those areas,
shouldn't have any problems.
Sorry about your luck, man. But if it's something above where it's not touching the fish, it's not going to be an issue. I mean, obviously, whenever people submit a fish, we definitely encourage you taking multiple pictures. Take it 3, 4, 5, 6 pictures. Submit one, and if there's some question about it, we're gonna give you a message and let you know that we'd like a better picture if you have one, and that's why we encourage more than one.
Ultimately, it's up to you guys as anglers to take the time and make sure your picture is correct. If an arm or something is obstructing the end of the board or on the fish, I mean, ultimately it comes down to that angler taking that picture's responsibility of not having it correct.
Yeah, and trust me, guys, when I say that it sucks for us, maybe even just as much as it does for the person receiving the infraction. I mean, I don't like being the one to give that news. I always feel bad when I do it, but it wouldn't be fair if we didn't just have a rule across the board and follow it every time. There's unfortunately not going to be any exceptions made. And that's the only way we can be fair, is to just stick to our guns about it. So, David, I think your question was answered there. Forearm jacket type thing, if it's not physically on the fish, shouldn't be an issue. But obviously, if it became too much of an obstruction, then it could be a DQ as well. So that is something important to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, obviously, we want to see if we can't see the fish's eye in the picture, it's also going to be a DQ. Just because especially during the hot summer months, there's algae blooms, there's a lack of oxygen in the lakes, there's going to be some fish floating. I hope we don't have anybody doing it, but there's always a possibility of somebody picking up a dead fish floating in the water and putting it on a board and covering its cloudy eye. That's why those red zones are there. We don't want those areas covered, so we can try to verify as best we can.
Yeah, and also we do understand that there's maybe going to be some hesitation, changing these rules moving forward. We understand there's going to be some people that don't like it, but I think it's also just important to understand that these rules are being put in place to make this a more seamless judging process. we're trying to reduce the chances of people cheating, so I think for a person who is interested in having a fair shot at winning and wants this to be a smooth, seamless process, would ultimately be in favor of this. I think it came down from KBF, might be the first people who use this. So I know Chad Hoover's not the most popular person in the world when, in certain circles. I really do feel like it's a good rule, and I don't feel like it could really hurt you as an angler. I really don't.
It did come from KBF, but like the reason I personally liked it is it just eliminates, so many different options of putting your hand and placements on the fish, and then being, somebody upset because their hand's here and we don't like it there, or blah blah blah. So just there's one small area where you can have it or not have it, and that's it.
Yeah. And talk to other anglers and stuff. There's so many different folks that have different techniques to calming the fish down, whether it be, in the net or
wetting
whatever.
the board.
Yeah, I mean, wetting the board, stuff to get the fish from quitting flopping. Obviously, your smallmouth are just pretty much insane. So they're just gonna go crazy. But a lot of those fish, especially the big fish, that's, in my experience, the big fish, once you let them calm down, they just kind of stay. And oftentimes you don't even need to put your hand on them to take the picture. The little fish are a little bit crazy. And I see no tail pinch now. You can pinch a tail.
Yeah.
As long as you're not doing it in the picture.
Yeah, the tail could be pinched and lay there naturally pinched, because some fish lay there like that anyways. It's just you can't actively be pinching the tail. Plus, it's in the no touch zone anyways. So,
yeah, I mean, if before you take the picture, if pinching that fish's tail gets you to that next quarter inch, by all means do it. If there's always a chance where that fish's tail might flay out and you might miss it, but if whatever you need to do beforehand within reason to get the best possible picture of your fish, do it. But yeah, you cannot be pinching that fish's tail in the picture while you're taking it. But if you do it beforehand and that helps you out, go after it.
Yeah. Okay. Preston mentioned here that he got an aluminum one for $48. They have some blemished models apparently, so that's a good route to go if you do want the heavier duty measuring board. I'm just too cheap. That's the only reason I talk crap on it. I bought the plastic one, if you can't tell.
I've got both
versions.
I've got both, and I prefer the plastic one just because it's not an anchor.
I prefer my metal one because I paid extra to get my name on it, so that's the only reason I like it.
That's because you're fancy.
Oh, you fancy, huh? You know what, guys? Maybe we need to have a podcast one night to talk about all the drama that I'm out of the loop on. I'm assuming something happened with Cliff Allen and judging pictures. I have no idea. I'm totally out of it.
Yeah, me too.
How do we get our pick as the KKA logo?
Copy and paste it.
I don't know. I don't know how to do this.
Are you asking if you want to be in the logo on the group page, or just
there you go? I have no idea.
To have it as your picture.
Come on, CBG. We need some clarification here. Yeah. So, and then Josey did address this one here. So you can pinch the tail, you just cannot be pinching the tail.
You can be actively pinching it in the picture.
Yeah, the tail can lay however you want it to lay, as long as it's down on the board, not up in the air. Whether it's flayed out or pinched in tight, as long as that picture suits what we need, then you're good to go.
Yeah, and I think that, he's saying a few clubs. I feel like it's really unrealistic to ask somebody to make sure the tail is not pinched in a picture of a fish on a measuring board. Like I don't know. I mean, I've had fish that won't. They just won't do it.
Some of the bigger fish, their tails just naturally kind of like stay with a wave or a curve or whatever.
Like I said earlier, smallmouth are just awful to deal with. So
okay, metal because pretty colors.
That's because Trevor has a pink one.
And glare.
It's hard to read, but you can read it.
That's the thing. Like the glare, I feel like you do get more glare off of the metal, right?
Well,
it depends on the color.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where I reiterate: take a half a dozen pictures of every single fish, just because that one picture you submit might not be the best, but there might be another one that you have sitting in your camera rolls that might verify it. And if we reach out to you and ask you for it, it might make all the difference.
Like the blue and the purple are pretty easy to read, but like the lime green, the orange, the pink, it can be sometimes more difficult to read in the bright sun. The plastic yellow ones are super easy to read. So if you guys are only getting the plastic ones, they're a lot easier to read.
Yeah. Let's see here. I just had something right on the tip of my tongue and I just completely forgot it. What's the guy doing in the logo? Hopping off a horse?
That's old Joel. He's giving us a hard time. No, that's the one back here that everyone makes fun of me for right there.
Yeah. Looks like you're taking a dump.
Yeah.
Is that the one where you caught the 10-inch bass?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of 10-inch bass, it just came back to me. I have so many memories of catching 10-inch bass.
At least we catch bass unlike somebody named Joel.
Oh, okay. So I think it is very important that you take multiple pictures. I just want to reiterate that. And just to kind of elaborate maybe a little bit more for new guys, and we have a lot of new people joining the club this year. So for those guys, I just want to say welcome. But something that I do, and you guys can chime in too, but something that I do when I take a picture, I do take several. I'll take a picture of the fish, maybe, 2 or 3 of them. And then I will actually put the fish back in the net on my grips, let it chill out next to the boat. I'll review the photos in my phone. And then if I need to take more, I can. If not, I'll just let the fish go. But I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely taken pictures of the fish before and found out it was, blurry or, whatever. And then by the time the fish is gone.
Another good thing to do if you're taking pictures on your phone camera and not within the app, take 2, 3, 4, 5, however many pictures of the one fish that you're taking a picture of, and then take a picture of the sky.
Yeah.
Or that way you've got a divider between each fish.
And you don't accidentally submit the same one twice.
Exactly. That way, when you at the end of the day, if that's how you're choosing to submit your fish, you have a definite divider between each fish, so you're not accidentally submitting the same fish 2 times in a row.
Which will end up as a DQ, and you just submitted 4 fish, essentially. I mean, am I wrong there, or do?
Oh, that's absolutely.
No, okay. I take pictures and then take a picture of like the water next to me that has nothing in it, or like Josey said, the sky, and then I put my fish that I'm gonna put on Tourney X in a separate folder. That way, I know exactly what I have and what I don't.
I have heard of some guys having some issues between taking them on Tourney X and not, and so I think what I started to do at one point last year was kind of taking them on my phone and taking them through the app. That way, if something happens through the app, I got one on my phone, and you've got that time period after the tournament to kind of reevaluate what you've submitted.
Yeah, I do the same. I take my picture, submit it through the app, and then take a few more pictures with my phone just so I've got them in my back pocket in case something comes up.
Yeah, I know Dwayne and them's been working on the app quite a bit over the last year or so. So I think a lot of that's gotten better.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody's had any real bad experience with it, locally or not, but not that I'm aware of, anyways. What about the minimum? We haven't gone over that yet.
I think it was 8 inches, right, Josey? I think that's what we discussed. Or did we
I,
go?
be- I believe so.
I thought too.
One of the big driving decisions behind that is there's an award for the smallest fish.
Yep.
That's right.
And it has to be a part of your stringer.
Yep.
So, if you catch 5 fish and your smallest fish, or if you catch 3 fish, your smallest fish counts towards the Little Guppy Award, which we kind of originated. Robbie, if you don't know Robbie, he's kind of a goofball. He's a good guy, but he originated the Little Guppy Award, and he's kind of sponsored it. And every tournament, the Little Guppy Award wins a tumbler. It's laser engraved with the Little Guppy Award, and oftentimes there's a lure or something added in as well. But basically, we want to recognize that we've got all kinds of people, whether it be super serious or just casual fishermen coming in and doing their thing. And hey, we're going to recognize that guy that caught the smallest fish in the tournament, no matter what. I've won it before. I know plenty of other guys that have. I had one tournament where I won big bass and little guppy in the same tournament.
Heck yeah.
So it's definitely, don't, if you catch a 9-inch fish, don't discount it. Take a picture, submit it. We've got auto cull and Tourney X. If you catch bigger fish, then it'll knock it off the board. But definitely take a picture of every fish you catch.
8 inches better than no inch.
That's right.
Yeah, and I did just pull up the rules, and it is 8 inches. So, which I know you confirmed that, but just and I do remember the reasoning why. Now that you mentioned the Little Guppy Award, which I'm assuming is here to stay.
Absolutely.
Spoke
with Robbie earlier this year, and he's still on board. So he sponsors Kayak Anglers Against Cancer. He beat cancer himself, so he's trying to rep that. If you haven't gone and found that, followed it, give it a search and give it a follow.
Kevin, what about timestamps for each pick that can help verify how many fish have been caught and what time it was caught?
Yeah, so Tourney X will actually, as far as the judge goes, it'll show like location on the lake and the timestamp. So that helps the judge verify it's been actually caught on the lake, and if it was in the correct time. But it does help with sorting your own pictures as well. That's for sure.
Yeah. And that's something that we definitely look at when we're judging fish, especially, if an angler has, 2 15-inch fish caught, it flags it and lets you know that there's a similar fish caught in the same length, and so that you can go and compare the stats about each fish that has been caught, compare the timestamp, location, everything. So that definitely helps us judging and let us know if we need to take a closer look at anything.
Yep. CBG didn't care to elaborate on his other question because he don't even know what the heck he meant. But he says, any updates on the schedule, championship tournament added, or everything the same? So I don't think we've – go ahead. Take it away.
The regular tournament, all of the permits are submitted unless something comes back and says there's a problem with it. and they're pretty much set how we've done it. I don't foresee a problem other than there's like one lake that I can see maybe being a problem, but shouldn't be. And then I'll let you guys talk about the championship stuff.
I think that's still TBA at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll get to cracking on that. I know a lot of guys are going to want to start planning. Here we are getting ready to turn the corner, and the season's going to be in full swing before you know it. So we'll put our foreheads together and get a date at least, and that way you guys are able to start scheduling. We do have some tournaments. Schedules recently been announced that I think we're kind of waiting on, so I don't believe that's going to be an issue. So we'll get you guys a date here soon, and maybe even announce the lake before too long. Okay, so one thing that I would also like to mention that I didn't really have, but it just popped into my head. For all of you guys that have been longtime NECA members or SECA members or Air Capital or Flint Hills, we're going to give you guys a chance to declare what club you rep, and we're going to try our very best to keep track of that all season long and figure out, what club has bragging rights, as far as winning the Kansas Kayak Anglers series. So I personally think that a fellow Air Capital Kayak Angler is going to take the trophy. I don't know.
That's because you're the furthest away. Steve and I are screwed. We got too many combined anglers.
Yeah.
Heck, I do too. I have a lot of Air Cap and SECA guys, so.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing. I think that's really why, at least why I wanted to do this. Why I'm excited about it is because we really all one big group anyways, just being able to get together, fish together. When I first started Air Capital, that's kind of how it was because there wasn't as many options out there. So the NECA guys and the Air Capital guys were fishing each other's events quite a bit. But as the national scene grew and as, more clubs sprouted up throughout the state, it's been harder to make it to each other's local events. So excited to have that.
What was it? 2015, 2016? John,
Don't you bring up Richie.
No, you bought something from me and you met me at a lake or something like that.
Yeah.
Back in the day after I started NECA, and you expressed some interest in everything. You're like, this would be really cool if I was closer. And
so I bought 2 Okuma reels from you.
Yeah.
Is what it was. I believe it was 2 of them. And I was up that part of the state, I guess, somewhat, and met you up there. And that was where I met you for the first time. I want to say it was it was also at the same lake. The first tournament I ever fished was one of yours.
Was it Leavenworth?
Leavenworth. It was Leavenworth. Yep. And and then I went and fished an event. Eric Braden, I kind of tagged along with him at that event. And so my first ever kayak fishing event was a NECA event. And at that time, NECA was the only club in the state. And I don't know, what were you averaging like attendance back then? Was it like 20 or something maybe?
Yes, something like that. It started out with, there was maybe half a dozen of us guys that were kind of all kayak fishing that kind of met up, mutual friends or on Facebook and stuff, and we just decided, let's make it like a guys poker night, and everybody puts $10 in, winner takes all, and that's kind of what spurred it. And like I said, I met you and you bought those reels from me, and you were checking out my kayak, and
I think you were still in an Outback, I believe.
Yep, it was a 2015 Outback, actually.
It was the old school ones.
Yeah,
they've come a long way since then.
They definitely have.
Yeah. And I do for whatever reason want to mention that, and maybe this is what they need. Maybe they understand that I'm calling them out. Mel Ash and Richie McMichael were both at that event, that first event that I fished. So maybe we'll pull them out of retirement on the local scene.
There's a whole lot of people that are going to be pushing against that. Because after that first year, I won Angler of the Year that first year, and after that, Richie dominated it for like 3 years before he moved on and got up into the big leagues, and gave a little leeway for the rest of us to try to battle for Angler of the Year.
Heck, man. I mean, if we get 50, 60 anglers, 70, 80 anglers, I mean, I don't really know what to expect. I don't really know what the potential of this club is. As a combined group, I would expect 50 is pretty dang achievable. Maybe even as an average number. But, 50 anglers with, what we're probably going to end up paying out top 5 or 6 at that rate, I would imagine. I haven't really done the math, but the nice thing is bigger payouts, being able to pay out further down the field. It might bring those people that didn't think these events were worth their time. It might bring those guys out. Not saying that Richie and Mel felt that way, but if somebody says, I don't want to go compete with 10 people to win $40, there's going to be some money on the table here for sure.
I mean, even 10 people, you're gonna, if you win that tournament, you're gonna go home with 150, $200.
Yeah.
I mean, that is what it is. And, compared to the bass boat clubs, you're not having to put in, gas money, registration, all that and everything.
That's not cheap right now.
But let's see here. What's this Captain Marvel stuff?
Mike Marvel.
Uncle Drunky Marvel.
Okay.
I guess I'm drunk now.
He's the drunk uncle, apparently. And he is a long time behind the reeler. I need to come up with a name for the behind the reel fans or whatever. I don't know what the heck you call them, but
Johnnies.
That doesn't sound cool. Facebook user, also known as Joel Johnson. I'm assuming. Can't wait to judge the Big Hill tournament. He's finally going to find out where they're at. That's true.
I just hope Joel comes and stays all day.
I will probably just camp out that night and then just fish all the spots that fish were caught in the next day.
To be fair, going back to Richie McMichael, McNasty, back in the day when he was fishing with Seca, he would straight up tell you exactly where he caught his fish and show you exactly what lure he caught them with. And then beat you because you still got to catch the fish.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So we've got several Facebook users out there. So we're just going to call them all Joel, but
yep. Great Joel.
Trevor K wants to say Seca for life. Who cares?
Yeah. Nobody. You don't count. You don't have a beard anymore.
That's true, but I do have this nice mustache.
And here's the deal. Like, are you really a Seca fan if you don't have the logo tattooed on your body somewhere? I mean, are you really?
That's why I Seca for life, bro.
Hey,
I have it on my truck, too.
Did your tattoo artist compete in one of your tournaments? Because mine did.
Oh, okay. Who did that?
He's more dedicated.
Who did that?
Oh,
you don't
now
know.
that you asked me, my brain went numb.
Gosh.
Did one of your members give you a fresh haircut last night? Oh,
no, I did that myself.
Wes Kinsey special.
Yeah.
Nice. He faded you up real good.
Oh yeah.
Trevor, so I'm just going to put this on the table. I will reimburse you your KKA membership dues, what, $40, right? If you get Secca tattooed on you. Boom.
Throwing out the gauntlet.
Doesn't even have to be on your face. I mean,
On the left cheek.
that is my preference, but you know. Gary, great question. Do you recall where we're at roughly? 30, 40?
About 2 weeks ago, we were at 39.
Oh, okay.
I have not updated since then. My work schedule has been just off the wall, absolutely crazy. So my evenings have been spent decompressing. But in the next few days, I will update it, and we'll try to shoot out a post on the Facebook page and let everybody know exactly how many people have signed up. I would venture to guess around 50 for sure.
Yeah. And something that we'll just go ahead and throw right in there along with that is we do have kind of an early bird special on the annual membership fee. And so that will be going up here in just a week or so. The cutoff is the last day of February, I believe. And so, so make sure you guys, if you are planning on participating this year, get signed up early. You're going to save a handful of dollar bills at least by getting signed up early. And, it really does help us to judge, how to prepare for the season. As you can see right there in the middle, Jacob's showing off his fancy new sticker. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, so if you are a KK member, you get one of these awesome decals. They're vinyl, so they're weatherproof, so you can put them on your car, kayak, wherever you want it. So a little perk you get in the membership. And it looks a lot better than in this picture because my camera sucks, but it's a really good, nice sticker. So make sure you sign up.
Heck yeah.
And one of the questions that we've had recently on the Facebook group is, why sign up early? The prices are growing up. What's the reasoning for that? And to be honest, it's purely our convenience. We're sitting behind the scenes and managing all this stuff, and if we know who our members are in a good amount of time beforehand, then we are able to put all the statistics and everything together, who qualifies for Angler of the Year points and everything. And it helps us a lot behind the scenes. And that's why, we put kind of a deadline on that as far as, getting signed up for the $40 fee versus it going up at the end of February. We want to get as many people logged and accounted for as early as possible before this stuff starts, because if somebody signs up at midnight the night before the tournament and participates, then that just involves us having to go back and figure out exactly when all that happened, and we just don't want that headache. It's as simple as that. I mean, that the incentive is definitely on our part.
Yeah, and I think we've put the incentive there to help out. As you guys may or may not know, we're volunteering our time here, and we're trying our best. We're able to kind of rely on each other a little bit this year. But I think that, like Josey said, it does help us out. I think there's also some other stuff that's going on behind the scenes that maybe people don't realize. Some stuff we haven't talked about publicly, but we've talked about doing some extra things here and there, whether that be water bottles like Josey's mentioned, or snacks, or if we can team up with one of the members and have a full-on meal or something prepared, those sort of things. And then also when you are submitting Permits, they do want to know how many people are there, and depending on how many people are there will depend on sometimes if you get the permit or not, depending on what else they have going on that day. And that has came up this season on one lake in particular. So it's, it's just meant to kind of help us be a little bit more prepared. So that's all that is for you guys that may be wondering there. Absolutely none of that money is going into our pockets, I guarantee it. We talked about hand placement. We talked about measuring devices. We talked about membership fees. We talked about fancy new stickers that you all will be getting. What about shirt orders, Jacob?
Hold on just a second. Apparently, Trevor Johnson is getting that decal as a tramp stamp.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
We definitely want a picture of that on the Facebook page when it happens.
There you go.
I think Scott Riss, however you say it, said, can you confirm the dates for the events that were posted? There were 2 sets. So the original one was deleted, and it's in the let's see, it's in the featured section on the group, and that is the updated one. So that has all the current dates that are correct.
I would pronounce that as Reese, but
Well, I went to school in a pasture, so
in a pasture.
Yeah, literally. No, I'm not. That's not a joke.
I do like this one. I like the confidence, Daniel. I do agree. I think Richie and Mel would have their hands full.
Let me ask you this, John. How do you pronounce his last name?
Who?
How do you pronounce his last name then?
Maffei.
Okay, good job. You passed.
Like buffet, but he had to tell me. He had to tell me that.
How you remember it? You're like Daniel Buffet. That's what.
Well,
it is.
and comment and on that comment, not taking away anybody that participates in our tournaments. I don't want to sound cliche, but any given day, anybody can win. We've had tournaments where somebody will show up at a $250 kayak from Walmart and just blow everybody out of the water.
Hell, John's won a tournament. I mean,
I won a tournament, guys.
Luck is a huge part of it, and you don't have to have $5,000 setup to win a tournament. Oftentimes that kind of stuff it'll detract from what you're focused on. So,
ask Daniel. He's won 2 of our tournaments out of a $250 kayak.
Yeah, I mean it.
And furthermore, I would say that there are several people in each of our clubs that if they wanted to, they could go compete at a national level. Absolutely. So
Sure.
I hope Richie and Mel are listening right now. I'm talking to you, Richie and Mel. We got some hammers here in Kansas still, even though you left. Come on down. Okay, so we did that. We did the tramp stamp thing. That was fun. Here we go. Makes the Big Hill Tourney King of the Hill. See if we can get some out of states to come and play. I think we just went 1 year without that. Is that right? Officially?
Yeah, 1 year? Last year was the only year we really strayed away from King of the Hill. Not Big of the Hill, sorry.
And I don't know, maybe we do that again, go back to it. Oh my goodness. It's in the oh no. I forgot he had it.
Yeah.
1 year, 1 trophy.
But maybe we do that again.
Backyard.
That's right.
It does help. Okay. Oh, Tourney X deadlines for signing up. I don't know if we've really got into that much.
I would assume it'd be
the night before.
Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but typically with NECA, we set the deadline for signing up at 11:59 the night before.
Yeah.
It basically we've gone almost exclusively to the online captains meetings instead of captains meetings the morning before, so that just to avoid, there's always a chance of somebody waking up late and contacting me at 1 o'clock the day of the tournament at Kreitzer, Jacob, saying I slept in, I didn't hear my alarm. So that just kind of takes that out of the equation. The online captains meetings, I think, are something we're going to keep going with. And like I said, I think, me personally, I think, 11:59 midnight, the night before the tournament, that's your deadline to sign up. That way it gives everybody, if you're on the fence or if you had something that might be getting in the way, but you don't know for sure until the last minute, that gives you enough time to decide and get signed up.
Cool. Does Trevor even fish anymore?
Pretty sure
I guess we'll find out.
The other day, I think.
Do what?
I think I saw him fishing at Big Hill the other day, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Apparently, I was right on the pronunciation.
You have kids, so hopefully you're right. Pronunciation.
I'm going to fish just for fun. Too many sticks this year. I just going to donate.
Sometimes it's the guys that have that mentality that come in and they manage to hit it. And, like I said, for the guys that think they're just in there to donate and commiserate and, hang out with some other like-minded folks, like I said, there's always a little guppy award.
Yep, absolutely.
And just paying and hanging out's all right too.
Yeah, it is. I think something I would like to remind everybody, especially the new guys, like there are some really good anglers in this group, in all four of these groups, which are now one group. I mean, there are some really good anglers, and there's some steep competition, that you're going to be going up against this year. But those same guys are going to be willing to help you load your kayak. Those guys are going to be willing to answer questions, on, what to throw type of situation. If you come up to them and ask them, most of those guys are more than willing to help you out, especially new anglers. I think, most of us are happy to welcome new people to the sport. And, that's a big part of why we're doing this too, is to help introduce new people to the sport. So that in itself, if you just want to come, you just want to play, you just want to, have fun, you just need an excuse to go fishing that day, this is still the place for you. But at the same time, if you really want to test yourself, if you really want to challenge your skills and your abilities and learn how to fish in this state more effectively, this is also the place for you. So,
and as far as that goes too, I mean, we've got our tournament dates out there and locations, and even if you're not interested in competing, if you just want to come out and hang out with a bunch of other guys that are doing the same thing, kayak fishing and stuff, and look at some other setups and whatnot, feel free to come out, towards the end of the day and, talk to some folks. I mean, we've had plenty of folks come out, for the award ceremony that didn't fish a tournament but just wanted to come and hang out and ask questions and talk to people. Feel free to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. I would encourage it as well. Okay, let's see here. Something about Trevor and Ryan sleeping in and showing up whenever they want and stuff. Trevor says, I guess you guys will find out if I can still catch them. Is Seca still by itself? I would say no. SECA is not. SECA is is an important part of the Kansas Kayak Anglers. But, each of these clubs do still exist at a local capacity. And I do want to commend, I know Jacob wanted to answer this question, but I do want to commend him on what he's doing down there in Southeast Kansas, the way that he has structured his tournaments. He's lowered his membership fees. If you guys want to join SECA and you are a KKA member, your membership fee to SECA is reduced because of that. So, and I think that what he's doing down there will also help introduce new people to the sport. So, commend him on that. And I think that that is also what I want to see Air Capital do. So we're going to do some things a little bit differently than we've done in the past as well this year. But go ahead, Jacob. Go ahead and respond with your response to, is SECA still by itself?
So I think, like John said, each club is still an individual thing. This year we're just having a more competitive, bigger group as one. But like for me personally, I still have a lot of people who don't want to go fish big national events, or maybe they don't quite want to go fish with 50 or 60 guys yet, and they still want to compete with 20 people. So I still create that for the local people who aren't able to travel, or younger people wanting to get into it, or people just finding out about it in this local area. But we also have league nights, which I can't run a league night in Josey's area because I simply don't have time to drive 3 hours to go run a league night up there. So this is a way for us to individually have our little stuff too, alongside our big main statewide stuff. I started this back in 2019, and I'll probably will run it forever, regardless of what happens, even if it's on, 5 people show up to a league night. But, we're just trying to create a bigger group, more competition, get to fish with everybody in the state as well.
And to add to that, it, like you said, Jacob, league nights, I know that every group kind of handles it differently. NECA, we've Derek Jameson is part of our group, and instead of league nights on Tuesday or Thursdays, he did Bass Church on Sunday mornings, where you'd have a little 3-hour tournament on Sunday mornings. And that's the thing where all 4 groups are joining together to form this, but at the same time, we're all still going to have some local stuff available for folks that aren't interested in doing bigger stuff, and we're able to still do some fun stuff in our areas. So we're not discounting you guys that's what you're interested in. There's nothing wrong with, if that's what you want, great, no problem. And we're still going to try to cater to that as well.
Yeah, and I think that for you guys who have fished at the local level, still have that opportunity here at home, whether that's Air Capital or SECA or wherever. I'm sure there'll be, whether that is headed up by me and Josey and, Steve and Jacob, or whether somebody else from the club decides to, hey, let's all meet up and fish next Saturday or whatever, So there'll be a lot of that going on, which I encourage that too. If you guys want to go out and pre-fish a week or two ahead of time or something, post on the page, post on the KKA page. Hey, I'm going to Big Hill. Hey, I'm going to Perry. Anybody want to link up and go fish? Something else too, you mentioned, well, it reminded me, something you said reminded me of the team series, which I don't think we touched on that yet, did we, Jacob?
Nope.
So this was kind of somewhat Jacob's baby. So Jacob did the team series. Was it for the last 2 years now, or year?
Yeah, last
2 years. So we're gonna do the team series as a part of the Kansas Kayak Anglers as well. Separate buy-in, right? So do you want to just go into further detail on that, maybe?
Yeah. So the team tournaments, That's a separate entry fee from the normal tournament. So it's an option. You don't have to do it. Teams of 2. It's the best 6 fish per team. So your best 3 fish and your teammates' best 3 fish will combine to equal your team's score. It's a little bit different than how I've done it before. I've done like team events by themselves. With it being together with the big group, you will still fish like you're fishing a normal tournament, and you're just going to be on a team. So you'll still try to catch 5 fish for your normal event, and we'll just take those 3 best fish that you have and your teammate's best 3 fish out of his 5 fish and combine them for a separate pot. As far as communication, with it being a regular term as well, you're not going to be able to call each other and, hey, come over here real quick. But if you're going by them and you want to talk to them, that's fine. But kind of eliminate like the cell phone communication to keep it a little bit more fair. You guys have anything to add to that?
Basically, whether you're fishing only the regular tournament or you're participating in a team tournament, at the root of it, you're fishing competitively for yourself. So don't make it a situation where you're trying to help out somebody else to the point where you're catching each other's fish.
Right.
I mean, if you're paddling along or whatever, and
motoring along,
and you come across some, and everybody, we all chit chat and stuff as we pass by each other, and it's one of those things where if you ask each other how you doing, and if you're feeling generous, watermelon craws, just hammer them right now. Great, fine, but don't go to the extent where you're saying, I'm catching them right here. There's a school of them. Sit next to me. Let's catch them together and team up. That's not okay. And if you do that, eventually somebody's going to catch on, and there's going to be complaints, and we're going to look into it. And if there's enough evidence that we can see against you, you're going to be banned. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to exclude anybody, and we don't want you guys to give us any reason to do so. So, just keep it casual. If you want to give pointers, great, but just remember you're competing for yourself. And that's what you should base it on. You want to win overall, and you shouldn't be giving anybody a big advantage to beat you.
Yeah. Yep. And so kind of to sum that up, I mean, you're really fishing for your individual score. And like you said, there may be a time where somebody's only fishing the team series event. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but whether or not you are only fishing the team series, you are fishing for yourself, and we're taking the best 3 fish out of your 5 fish limit and adding that to your teammates, right? So you're really fishing for your own 5 fish, and we're just taking your best 3 of 5, and that's how we'll calculate your team winning. So communication, we want this to be fun. We want you guys to be able to kind of relax, and if you guys want to fish next to each other, or around each other, that's fine. We're not telling you guys cannot do that. Absolutely, we're not telling you that. But if enough concern gets raised around that, then we'll look into it, and if we have to, we'll take the necessary steps after that. But just want to put that out there for everybody that wants to fish the team series event alongside the regular AOI event.
And to add on to that, a lot of the folks fishing our series know each other, but just remember that you might not know a guy that you're coming up upon. So, if you got to go around somebody, or if you're fishing close to somebody, especially somebody you don't know, don't expect them to be okay with it.
Yeah.
My general rule of thumb is if you can cast and hit that person, unless
Too
you have
close.
some prior agreement beforehand, you're too close.
Yep.
So, if talk to each other, if you're both wanting to fish the same hole, if you come up on a guy fishing a hole that you know about, say, hey, is it okay if I join you? It's perfectly okay if he says or she says, I was here first. This is my spot. Move on.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It just be considerate of each other. There's unwritten rules. I see a couple of comments from Trevor. Like I said, my general rule of thumb is if you can cast and hit somebody with your lure, you're too close unless they give you consent otherwise.
And I would also say that I know Josey pretty well and I know Jacob pretty well, but there have been times where I, maybe not be reading the room, I may not realize they're on them right now, and me pulling up to them might mess up what they got going on. So just because you're buddies with somebody, I would still give them that same,
Absolutely.
give them that same respect, because you really don't know what's going on, and you may say, hey, hey, do you mind if I pull up next to you, and then if they're like, hey, not right now, I'll holler at you later, then
And
cool.
especially with Tourney X, you can kind of keep track of who's doing well and whatnot. If I'm sitting here with 5 fish at 85 inches and John pulls up and he's got 83 inches and I'm sitting on a good hole,
Yeah.
and John says, you mind if I jump in? It's, you know what? I'm doing pretty good here and you're right behind me. I'd rather
Yeah.
you didn't.
Let's be friends after the event.
Yeah, it is a competition. Be respectful of one another. Yeah, Trevor. Yeah, in no rules is that cheating, but
Give me
there's
1 second.
unwritten rules.
You guys are gonna have to continue without me for a second. I'm gonna go grab my charger.
There's unwritten rules in every sport and competition, and just be respectful of them. That's the biggest thing. It's pardon my French, but don't be a dick. That's the big thing. I think if everybody can live by that, we'll all get along and things will go well. Daniel, are all tournaments or just some going to be team tournaments? Jacob, I believe all tournaments are eligible to be team tournaments, correct?
Yep. The comment, like, it's never legal to help someone fish or buy someone. Basically what we're meaning, like, I'm by Josey, just ask, like, hey, can I go in front of you and fish? Are you fishing there? If they say yes or no, whatever they say, go by that answer.
Just be respectful.
If you're on a team, you can talk to each other. Basically what we're saying is, like, don't be calling someone across the lake. You can talk to them, but we just don't want any cell phone communication.
Yeah. Well, that if you pull up to somebody and you see them fishing in the spot, if they're there first, that's their spot. If you say, hey, can I fish a spot with you? And they're like, yeah, go for it. Great. If not, and you decide I'm going to do it anyways, and that kind of activity continues, and you get called out on it over and over, we're going to have a talk. That's a big thing. Just be respectful.
Okay, here's one that I would like to talk about can you guys explain the Bass Nation affiliation? So what we're going to do is we're going to have 3 tournaments that we are going to kind of run in conjunction with the KKA tournaments. So if you want to fish the Kansas Bass Nation events, it's just a separate buy-in. There's a separate membership for that. But this is going to allow you a chance to earn a invitation to fish the state championship. So we're kind of trying to loosen up the requirements for that state championship invite by allowing you to earn an invite by fishing one event. So you have 3 opportunities. You only have to fish 1. There's honestly no reason to fish 2 because there is no payout for these KBN events. Okay, so what they're doing is they're taking all of the entry fees from the tournaments and they are putting those in a pot, and then those entry fees are combined and given to the people or person that qualifies for the national championship. So you're talking $40 for the tournament. If you have 100 guys sign up, then you've got what, $4,000 to divvy up between however many people qualify. So 10% of the people that fish the state championship will qualify to go fish the national. And so this year we were only able to send 1 because we only had 10 people fish the state championship. So I want to raise that number, and I feel like maybe by giving you a better opportunity at fishing the state championship.
Let's boot this guy out of here.
Oh my gosh. Why do these people do this? Okay, there we go. All right, so sorry about that. So Bass Nation, we're going to run those events in conjunction with these other ones, or you can fish both of them, but you really only need to fish 1. If you fish 1, qualify for the state, and then the state championship will determine who moves on to the national, which is held in conjunction with the Bassmaster Classic. And Justin, 2021 member or winner, is actually heading out tomorrow to go fish that event. So, he's got an opportunity to represent the state in a big way and represent the club, individual clubs as well. So that kind of wraps it up, sums it up as far as that goes. If you do want more information on that, go over to the Facebook page. Kansas Bass Nation Kayak Series is what that is called. And then I did want to touch on this as well. Daniel did mention he's got loaner boats. There's several members in each group that would be more than willing to make sure you have a kayak to fish in for a day. So if you don't have your own kayak or whatever the case may be, you want to bring a buddy with you, make a post on the page and say, hey, I'm bringing a buddy with me. Does anybody have a kayak he can fish in for the day? And I guarantee you somebody will step up.
Lots of us have multiple kayaks. You might not be set up with the latest and greatest fish finders or even a fish finder period, but if you just want to get out there and give it a shot, and put out a post, say, hey, I'm interested, I want to try a tournament, but I don't have a kayak, can anybody help me out? Give your location, and I think more often than not, somebody will be able to help you out.
Yeah. And I don't know if he was needing any more clarification on this,
we
but
talked about this while you were charging your battery.
Basically, no electronic communication.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Unwritten rules. Just be respectful.
Yeah. Live leaderboard is so badass. I honestly don't even look at TourneyX until I submit all my fish at the end. YAGDH, trying to get that junk out of view. Oh, is he just trying to?
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is. Every now and then those bots, I don't know what I have no idea what that crap is, but they say mean things, and I don't like that.
Yeah. And I go back and forth on the leaderboard. Oftentimes, if I feel like I'm doing well, I get distracted and I look at the leaderboard just to see where my competition is. If I feel like I'm not doing well, I don't pay any attention whatsoever.
Yeah.
But everybody has their own way of doing things. There's, guys will submit their fish as soon as they catch them. Some guys will wait until the end of the day to do it. And oftentimes the leaderboard's a little bit misleading because there's going to be a handful of guys that aren't going to submit anything until the end of the day. And I know that a lot of us know exactly who I'm talking about, but
we all have those guys, I'm sure, but we call them sandbaggers.
Yeah, sandbaggers, exactly. And oftentimes they do pretty well.
Yeah, those guys aren't not submitting because they're ashamed of their limits generally.
Kevin Kerr asked, he messaged me, does the team series for the season the same partner, or can it be different every tournament? Has to be the same partner. Once you pick your partner, that's your partner.
You're married to him.
Yeah, it's committed.
No polygamy allowed.
Rex, yes, Tourney X is the app you want to get downloaded.
But not necessarily the Pro. Is that an additional cost or
no?
Or is that what they're calling it now?
I don't know for sure. I know
if you want to have like your stats and stuff, you have to pay.
Right.
But the app itself is free.
Yeah, okay. You can download Tourney X and it be a free app. You don't have to pay anything unless you want it to keep track of your tournament stats and everything else. If that's the case, then there's I believe it's a yearly fee. I don't know exactly what it is, maybe $30 a year, if I remember right. But
yeah, I think you're right. I think it's very important that we give Matt Skuchis a platform right now at this very moment in time. Joel only catches small fish. That's it.
Yeah. So there's a prize for that.
There is. Like, heck yeah, man. Okay. Okies equal sandbaggers.
Good thing it's Kansas.
Is somebody calling out Ryan?
Yes.
Yes.
His name's Princess.
Yeah.
Is that who you had in mind too, Josey? Huh? Is that who you're thinking?
What's that?
Of? Is that who you were thinking of? Was Ryan?
Yeah.
Was it? That was me too.
Just because he's an Okie.
He's gotten that rep.
I've got a few others as well.
Well, yeah,
Scott. As we get closer to each tournament, we will have a link posted for sign up for each tournament for Tourney X. It'll be posted on the Facebook page. It'll be commented on, probably posted multiple times, and also probably shared on the Air Capital, Flint Hills, SECA, and NECA pages as well. So you might not, you won't see them now because they haven't been created, but as we get closer, probably, I would say minimum 2 weeks before each tournament, they will be posted. So you'll have plenty of time to sign up.
Okay. Skuchis sandbags. If I submit 93 inches, you'll just fish harder during the day to catch up.
Exactly.
True.
That's why some folks do it, because they don't want everybody to know that they got a bag that's going to take it for the day.
Yeah. No, I've felt that way, like doing well in a tournament and you're just like wondering what everybody else is doing. And, like the non-Tourney X events, when you go by somebody, you're like, hey, how you doing? Trying to make it seem all non-conspicuous, but deep down inside, you just want to know.
I remember that team tournament down at Bone Creek, asking Trevor how they were doing.
Oh, did he tell you the truth?
We're doing okay. We catch a few bigger ones, and Derek Jameson and I were hitting it pretty good. And, half inch behind Trevor and his teammate at the end of the day. We thought we had it in the bag.
See, he's not any better than he was calling Ryan out, wasn't he?
Well, granted, it wasn't on Turning X. It was at the end of the day reporting, but no, they tore it up that day for sure. Derek and I thought we did really well, and
Welcome to second.
yeah. But I think you said that was the biggest team tournament that you guys have ever had, as far as the winner.
Probably inches, probably so.
Yeah, because I think Derek and I had just over 111 inches for 6 fish.
Because I think before that, because I think before that, me and Dakota had like 110 or 11, and I think Trevor and then broke it.
Yep, I think you said Derek and I had the second biggest bag ever and got beat that day.
Yeah.
Kansas Classic. I'm gonna say Kansas Classic coming in 2022. I mean, that's what this is. That's exactly what
championship is, basically.
That's what KKA is. KKA is the biggest tournament scene in the state. I mean, absolutely, without a doubt. And this is your best opportunity to cash a big check in a local event here in Kansas. We'll have the All-American come through and fish Wilson, and we'll have, that's probably the only bigger series that'll come through Kansas. But, you'll have that. But, I mean, this is it, guys. I mean, this is your opportunity to show them what you got here in the state of Kansas. So 2022 CBG coming in 2022.
Start of tournaments. Basically, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have virtual captains meetings. They'll be posted probably a week before the tournament starts, just so everybody has a chance to read through it and understand what's happening with the tournament. And then basically there's going to be a time posted where it's lines in. So basically you get out to the lake, you get out in the water, you are not allowed to cast your line until that line's in time. You're allowed to get on the water, get to your spot. If you think you've got a honey hole and you want to guard it with your life, get out there 3 hours early, go for it. But don't cast your line until that line's in time is available.
Yeah. This one here, 3 schedule conflicts with AAKS. Why wasn't that avoided with it being the bigger series that covers our area of the country? Well, Shad, I would say I believe those events are nowhere near Kansas that do conflict. So I'd say that's probably the biggest reasoning there. I'm trying to look and see which ones are conflicting, but I don't think any of the ones. I think we did avoid the October 1st date because of 10 Killer. We avoided the Missouri events, I believe.
The Bassmaster one and Grove.
Yeah, so we're trying.
There's so many tournament series out there. I mean, we tried our best to avoid the ones we can, but I mean, there's comes to a point where we just have to schedule tournaments, and people are just gonna have to choose what they want to fish. Because, I mean, technically we have our 4 clubs, and if we had all those schedules too, I mean, there's just
that's kind of why that was a big driver of why we decided to do this year and combine the 4 clubs, because trying to figure out a schedule, John, Jacob, Steve, and I were
Jingleheimer Schmidt.
We're constantly messaging each other during the winter months, trying to figure out, can you move this? I can move this to accommodate yours. And we're worried about, the Hobie series, KBF series, the Oklahoma guys, the All-American Classic, the Missouri guys. There's 2 clubs over there. I mean, it comes to a point where it's impossible not to
have conflicts.
Yeah.
And I think also like a Lake Michigan event, some of these, like, yeah, I get it that it's a part of kind of a regional series. I do get that, but again, like, how many guys are going to Lake Michigan? And it is kind of funny that some of the guys that are complaining about these sort of things are the guys that are wanting the Kansas Kayak Anglers events all to be in certain parts of the state. So you can't have it both ways. I mean, we're going to have conflicts, but yeah, it just is what it is, and we'll try to accommodate as many of these more local events as we can. But on a Lake Michigan event, I don't know how many of you guys are going to go fish that, and I guess we'll find out on June 4th.
Yeah, I think one of the big things most of us focused on is, conflicting dates within, a 3 or 4 hour drive of where we were. And I'm not going to say we avoided all of them, because we probably didn't. But,
No.
I mean, look at the bass boat clubs in Kansas. In eastern Kansas, there's probably at least a dozen of them.
Yeah.
And there's no possible way for them to avoid conflicting dates. It is what it is. It's part of the deal.
We also have to consider permits on the lakes we are fishing ourselves, if they're even open on the dates that we want to do as well. Because, like when I called to do the permits, I mean, you have to ask it if that date's even available for just us. And like John said before, if we have over 50, that lake might not let us even have that tournament, especially with, I know COVID's kind of fizzling a little bit, but it still does matter with some of these lakes.
Yeah. Well, and I know that in the past, some of the lakes that we've had on our schedule, like if you go up to Maryville, they straight up will not allow more than one tournament to happen during a single day.
Yeah.
So when we had tournaments up there, I had to schedule them 6 months in advance just to get the date I wanted.
And I wish more lakes did that, honestly. I really do, because it seems like Wilson's really bad about scheduling multiple events right on top of each other and not notifying you of such. So sometimes you find out the morning of that there's another tournament or two there. I will say, though, like, if you guys have these type of concerns about schedule conflicts, whatever it might be, if you feel like there is any way that you can help make this club better, like, we're all for hearing that. Positive feedback, constructive criticism. I think that we all want to make this club better than it is, or, there's always room for improvement as well. And scheduling may be one of those things that we need some feedback on. If there's 2 of you guys going to fish these events that are, 10 hours away, then we probably won't schedule the tournament around that, right? But if there's 10 of you or 15 of you that are going, then maybe that's something to take into consideration. So, I don't know. But we'll try our best, and we can really only use the information we have. So we'll kind of use this year to figure that out, how many guys are going to fish those events. Let's see here. CBG, Mineland Wildlife Areas, 3.5 hours. Yeah, some of these events are going to be pretty far. Like the NECA guys, Flint Hills guys, they're going to travel pretty far down to the Minelands, and the
Wilson's
Southeast guys,
4.5 from me. I mean, and I live in a certain part, so like the guys in Pittsburgh, it's almost 5. So yeah, it just depends on where you live in the state and what term it is, really.
And for some people, that'll be a detractor. But I think the way that I've looked at it is, this is an opportunity for me to go fish one of the best lakes in the state, or one of the coolest, like the Strip Pits is one of the coolest areas, in my opinion, in the state. So these are, in my opinion, these are destination lakes for Kansas anglers. I'm not saying guys in Oklahoma and Missouri should go fish all these lakes because they probably got better ones around them. But I think this is a cool opportunity for you to reach out of your comfort zone a little bit and go fish some really good water. I think most of these events we've had really good winning bags on, the ones that we have fished in the past.
As far as comparing to surrounding clubs, keep in mind that before this year we were 4 local clubs. So we're, as far as a statewide, or at least eastern side of the statewide club, we are just getting started. So we're going to build upon what we've got and move forward. Hopefully, if we get to the point that it all works out, compared to the Missouri clubs, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Colorado clubs, it's a work in progress right now. We're young and trying to build upon what we have. So comparing it right now, maybe we're not on par, but like I said, we're just getting started. So hopefully we'll be able to build upon this and make it better.
Yeah, I think, we'll definitely be bigger than last year as far as attendance goes. Absolutely. Payouts are going to go up. I think the caliber of the events, I feel like, are going to go up as well, because we're focusing on all of the lakes, within that 3 or 4 hour radius, instead of, in the air capital radius, there's not a lot of options, especially that are going to accommodate this many anglers. So, we're ruling out all the state fishing lakes and stuff like that, which can be good fisheries, but the bigger limits seem to come from the bigger lakes as well.
Well, that you put 50 anglers on a 50 acre or a 500 acre lake, and you get to feel like you're elbow to elbow. So as you grow, you got to focus on bigger lakes, and responding to voting on lakes next year. If you guys have recommendation or big want to fish a specific lake, let us know for sure. Obviously there's some restrictions that are going to be in place where some lakes just aren't going to work out, with NECA, and I know SECA too. Bone Creek has been a really great lake to fish on, but it's a very timbered lake. There's a ton of standing timber in that lake, and it's about 1,000 acres. So the available fishing area, when it comes down to it, if you get 30, 40 anglers on that lake, you're kind of fishing on top of each other, and it just really doesn't become conducive to a bigger group. So that's kind of one of the things we got to take into consideration. But definitely let us know if there's a lake out there that you want to throw out and say we definitely need to look at this one. Let us know.
Yeah, and just to kind of elaborate on that, if any of you guys feel like we're just a ruling dictatorship, that's not that, we don't mean to come off that way. If we do, I don't think we do, but I think this is our first year, so we just had to make some decisions. We weren't able to really consult many people because we just kind of had to do it. It was like, this is the first year we're doing it, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. So absolutely up to, like I say, constructive criticism, absolutely up to recommendations. We might put up a vote on a lake, or two or whatever, so absolutely, if you guys have any recommendations, we're all ears. So I just want to reiterate that. Daniel says it does force you to fish lakes that you otherwise may never fish, and that's kind of a cool part. Takes you out of your element, and then also for somebody who has questions about why we decided on the lakes that we did, El Dorado sucks, or I hate Big Hill or whatever. We tried to take 2 lakes from each home club, basically. So an angler can fish 2 of his local lakes, and then he's going to have to travel, he or she. We did get whooped up on by some females last year, Jacob, didn't we? At the mine lands. But yeah, so yeah, that's kind of why we picked the lakes we did. So try to make it kind of fair.
I think some people were kind of concerned about driving further, from like their local clubs. But I mean, this is going to be like a bigger club, a little bit more serious. Plus, I mean, we're in a state where 3-4 hours is like max driving to a place where some of these other states that's like minimum. So I mean, it's not too bad in my opinion. A couple 3 hours to a lake. Plus, you get to camp out, have fun.
Well, even if you don't want to camp out,
Right.
I'm going to be 40 this year, so hotel bed sounds a lot better than a tent. So reach out to each other. Bunk up. Share a hotel room. Share some of those costs and everything. Get to know each other.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it and everything. So that's some of the best times I've had is going to tournaments further away and in a situation where there's 2, 3, 4 people sharing a room or multiple rooms in the same hotel, and you're all hanging out at night, getting ready, tying stuff up, and getting to know each other. So it's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah. And Shad wants to mention Glen Elder. I've noticed that lake popping up on the big bass boat tournaments as well, a little bit more here lately. So I don't know. I haven't heard great things about it in the past about, as far as being a bass lake. I think it's kind of more known for walleye, I believe. But that is one to consider, and it's definitely big enough for sure. Shad may have some intel. I think that's in his part of the state. So don't leave any of the details out. Make sure you tell us where all to go if we do pick that lake. He says Great Smallmouth Lake. So heck yeah. No, I think that there's not really any lakes of that size that are off the table. I think the right size lake
is what, 12,000 acres.
It's big. I don't know. It's a big old bowl. I looked at it on the map, and it's just a big old bowl.
I mean, not every lake that we choose or that we chose this year or we choose in the future is going to be a gimme. I mean, a lot of times you're going to have to work for your 5 fish limit, and that it is what it is. We're not picking lakes based solely upon you're guaranteed to catch fish. I mean, that's part of the game. You gotta work for it.
I think that makes it more interesting. You throw a couple grinders in there, you throw an El Dorado in there, you throw a Glen Elder, Hillsdale, you throw a couple of those in there, and somebody's gonna do good at them. Somebody's gonna, whether they catch 60 inches or they catch 100 inches, they're gonna get AOI points for first place, right?
Oh, yeah. So, and there's always tournaments out there where somebody comes in with 70 inches and that's first place. Yeah. I mean, not every tournament is going to be 85 to 95 inch limit to hit first place. Sometimes it's a grind, and the person that hits the hardest and gets the right spot is the one that takes it. And if that means 70 inches, it is what it is. It doesn't mean they didn't do good. That just means that they tried the hardest.
Shad is reassuring me that I can catch my fair share of drum there.
John can catch drum anywhere.
Melbourne has
Are we fishing?
great bass fishing, and you'll catch drum for sure.
Oh my gosh. I catch a drum anywhere. It doesn't matter. Somehow I seem to introduce drum to new lakes. The new Holiday Inn in Parsons is pretty nice for you guys that are fishing the Mineland.
Yeah, so there's the Holiday Inn in Parsons, which is fairly close, and then like where John stayed, there's a cabin there that can sleep up to 6, which I think it's like $15 a person at that point. And then there's also another cabin there in town, and then
there's a couple of Airbnbs in the area too as well.
And then by the Trout Lake, there's 2 cabins that you can rent as well. So, and then there's free camping at every pit. So, loads of
young guys.
AOY points. I don't know if we've posted that. Are we going? Did we post that? I don't remember.
We probably have not.
200.
I don't think we've posted. We talked about it. I think we definitely need to get something official out there. It's going to be pretty similar to what each one of our clubs have run before. Rather than starting out with 100 points for each tournament, we might bump it up to 200 just to give a wider array, considering we might attract more anglers with 4 clubs combined. But if we go 200, first place is 200 points. Second place, 199 points or 198 points. We'll put our heads together over the next couple of weeks and figure out exactly what that is and get it posted here as soon as we can. Obviously, like I said, we've talked about it, but something we've overlooked about posting something official about. That's on us, so we'll get it out there soon.
Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much covers everything we wanted to go over tonight, and definitely, and then some with some of the questions, and definitely appreciate all of you guys over there in the comment section. There's going to be room for improvement. There are things that we'll learn this year that will help us make this series better next year. So I do want to thank the year in Kansas kayak fishing ever. I'm excited about this. I'm excited to have all 4 clubs combine into one. I'm excited to have, the friendly competition between the individual clubs. And I think it's going to be a good thing. I think it's going to be a good thing for the sport. I think it'll be a good thing for the individual clubs and the anglers that want to fish these events as well. So for anybody out there that, has their reservations about whether or not you want to fish this series, that's fine. We'll welcome you guys with open arms. And, if you decide you do want to come fish with us, we'll be happy to have you. And if you decide to not, or to just still continue to compete at the local level, those, options will be there as well. Again, good, positive, constructive feedback would be appreciated. And we're going to need it, and it's going to be essential to the growth of this club. So feel free to share, complaints. You can complain to us. There's nothing wrong with that. If it's done in the correct manner. So if it's coming from a good place, I think we would appreciate that, I do want to thank Jacob and Josey for joining us tonight as well. Do you guys have anything that you want to mention that maybe we left out, or anything you want to sign off with?
Like you said, if anybody has any comments or concerns, even if you're not comfortable posting it on the group page, feel free to reach out to any one of us individually. Let us know. I've talked to plenty of people individually, and it's it's one of those things. Like I said, we're open, and we're going to welcome you guys into it. And like I said, if you just want to come out and hang out at a tournament, do so. You don't have to compete. Just come hang out.
Jacob?
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Yeah, that's stuff too. Baja Blast.
Yes.
But anyways, guys, if you've stuck in this long, we've still got several guys watching. Appreciate you guys. We're happy to have you this year for the Kansas Kayak Anglers. Again, I'm just going to sign off with this. Best year ever in Kansas kayak fishing. You heard it here first. Behind the Reel 2022 KKA. Out of here.
Later, guys.